He's got your ratchet here, so you can tighten it.
Helmet straps, jacket zipped.
I usually get in around 7 o'clock.
Goose Creek Fire Department is always ready for whatever the day might ignite.
Get my gear from the gear room, get it set up next to the truck.
Once the shift change is complete, the team gathers for a meeting, ensuring everyone's on the same page before things heat up.
It's on speaker with all the other stations, so we kind of know what everyone's doing throughout that day.
Next on the agenda, cleaning and truck checks.
We have all the cardiac monitors, all the trauma bags, medical bags, narcotics, all on each of our apparatus.
By mid-morning, it's time to train. Water! In this line of work, there is no such thing as a slow burn. 1 minute you're learning the ropes, and the next you hear the sirens, and you have 1 minute 30 seconds to get your gear on and get in the truck. Engine 1, Rescue 1, and the ambulance all work together to get the job done, and there's no cooling down until every task is complete.
We all kind of circle together, go over each person's assignments, how they did, if they could have done anything differently. And how we could have done better.
But after a few calls, another inevitably comes in, this time from their rumbling stomachs.
What are you making?
Pork chops.
This team also knows how to heat up a kitchen.
It's that family atmosphere.
And camaraderie is their secret ingredient.
Be your brother's keeper, hold each other accountable, be there for each other, support each other. I think that's a huge aspect to being able to manage the seriousness versus the leisure time.
But don't let the calm fool you. These firefighters are always ready to drop their forks the moment the alarm sounds.
Oh, yes.
With a 24 on, 48 off schedule, Goose Creek firefighters are always prepared to save whoever, whenever.
I think it comes from a passion for the job and for the citizens, especially when you buy into your city. We spend a lot of time here. About a third of our life is spent here at this station.
Reporting in Goose Creek, I'm Conley Grayson.
It was founded in 1809 as a congregation, and the building was begun in 1811, finished in 1816.
The Cathedral Church of St. Luke and St. Paul has weathered a lot of history's storms.
The fact that it's over 200 years old means it's aged pretty well, all things considered. It's been through hurricanes and earthquakes and all of that. But it's also struggled because it was built on an old creek bed.
Amazingly enough, some of the impacts remain from an earthquake from centuries ago.
As part of a capital campaign to repair our portico, which is in desperate need of repair, it's got some fatal flaws that have occurred over years and years as a result of the 1886 earthquake.
The historic church's portico or front structure, including the columns, is currently surrounded by a metal support structure of sorts. The long-needed repairs are part of a $2.85 million fundraising effort for a permanent fix. A majority of those funds have been raised thanks to parishioners and other supporters. However, there still was a gap filled thanks to a federal grant.
One of the grants that we applied for was the National Park Service grant, which is a grant that's called the Saving America's Treasures grant.
St. Luke and St. Paul's proposal inspired the Park Service to award them a $750,000 grant. Doing some simple math, that puts the church right where it needs to pay for the project, while continuing its important mission in the community.
I think that's kind of our calling, is to be a good neighbor to all those around us.
Spreading their faith while remaining a steadfast part of Charleston's ever-evolving history.
It stands as a monument in the midst of all kinds of changes and chances of this mortal world. It's still standing and hasn't changed a whole lot over those many years.
The repairs start this January. It's unclear how long the work will take. Working for you, Sadeja Smalls, News 4.
The search is on for portions of Charleston history.
We're doing excavations here at the kitchen building. We're in the cellar space.
A tight spot where archaeologists are hard at work finding artifacts.
We're going through methodically digging square units, and everything is being screened.
They're bringing materials collected from the crawl space outside, sifting through to find historical clues, large and small, over the next few weeks.
Because it's a graphite pencil, we had speculation maybe it was an inkwell that proved it's Cantonese porcelain. We're getting mostly 19th century material.
The crew excavating is impressed with what they're finding, pieces of history with ties around the world.
The material is plentiful, the artifacts are very large.
The work is part of a $100,000 project supported by the historic Charleston Foundation's trustees.
Well, we've known about Nathaniel Russell for a long time. His history is well documented. But the history of his enslaved Africans here at the house is not that well documented. We don't know all of their names. We don't know all of their jobs or their positions or titles.
Each historical nugget found paints a clearer picture of what life was like for those forced to work in the kitchen and laundry space of the property.
We are starting to recover evidence of the enslaved Africans' daily use of material culture, their daily activities, and it might help us figure out who they were and even spark new kinds of research.
Working for you, Katie Solt, News 4.
This is sacred ground, and that's the way we need to look at it.
During a spot where Charleston residents have been laid to rest, it's a place you would expect to be kept to a higher standard. But at Monrovia Cemetery, that appears to not be the case.
It goes back a year and a half ago when this incident first appeared on my time watch. Some family members had contacted me back then, and I started doing some research. It's a massive problem throughout the state of South Carolina.
State Representative Wendell Gilliard says this cemetery is being neglected. We saw one casket out of the ground. Gilliard says that specific casket has been unearthed for a while now, but many other graves are covered up with grass and other signs of disarray. At least one other grave shows signs of damage to the headstone. But who's responsible? Both Gilliard and Charleston County Coroner Bobby Joe O'Neill say they're unable to figure that out.
Having names and contacts available of who to reach should there be a problem would be a great start.
Because it's hard to find the people who were accountable.
There is a contact number posted at the property. We spoke to that gentleman who has loved ones buried there. He says he's not in charge of the property, and the property manager quit around 2 years ago. In fact, the man says he and others have been trying to get a group together to take care of the grave sites, but that's still in the works. He says he takes care of his loved ones' graves, and some other families do the same.
How we take care of those we've lost really speaks a lot about who we are. And so it's good to have this conversation.
Both Gilliard and O'Neill are trying to raise awareness and hope that getting funding and legislation could help fix the problems. Working for you, Ann Emerson, News 4.
Inside this Parker's Ferry Road home, 2 women inside needing some help. A call from a neighbor brought out rescue crews from the St. Paul's Fire Department along with their boat.
We have some historic flooding going on in the area. The river has risen to over 17.5 feet.
Leading to homes being surrounded by floodwaters in the Charleston County neighborhood.
We got a call for some residents trapped in their home. We brought our high water rescue truck out to extract them from the home.
It took just a few minutes to bring the 2 women out safely. A neighbor says they are a mother and a daughter, both looking very relieved to be brought back to dry land.
It's great to be able to perform a rescue and a save like this. It's not good for the residents, but it's part of our job. We have to come out and respond to these calls.
Meanwhile, other neighbors were busy moving vehicles to higher ground as their homes also faced flooding.
Well, the water has come up all the way up to the house, so they can't get in or out.
And just beyond the group of homes, the road itself isn't in good shape for driving.
As you can see right up there, that's about as far as you can go, and the water is all the way up to the bottom of the house.
But all are thankful these rescue crews have the tools to save the day.